J.C. Chandor. All right, so we are, you may want to bring up some people. So J.C.'s gonna bring up some fun guests. Come on.
Thank you all for sticking around. I'd love to first bring up my producing partner and cast member, Zachary Quinto. Kevin Spacey. John. Jeremy Irons. Who hadn't seen the film before tonight, so I hope he'll still speak to me after.
Here's Kevin Spacey, ladies and gentlemen.
Bettany. Simon Baker. Penn Badgley. Demi Moore. And Stanley Tucci.
Okay,
Give
Spikes.
these guys a hand, please. One more.
So how this is going to work, we are going to open it up to a Q&A. We have people with microphones on both sides of the audience and up in the balcony. For those of you like in the middle, if you have a question, it might be difficult for the mics to get to you. Don't worry about it. Just try to project. I will try to repeat your questions for everybody else. And we'll give it a go. Do we have anybody set up with the mics yet? Yes,
over here?
Okay, so over here.
What was your motivation?
Question for JC. What was his motivation?
To feed my children.
There was
No.
obviously a lot of very complicated information that was portrayed in a very comprehensive manner, and I applaud you for your ability to do that, because it's a very difficult thing to do, both emotionally and intellectually. Can you describe a little bit about how you developed that?
That's what I set out to do. I wrote this in November of 2008, basically, as this was going on. And basically, I wrote it to shoot it myself. I wish there was a grander purpose, but I wanted to make this movie and knew someone probably wasn't going to give me very much money to do it, especially at that time. So a lot of the elements that really are quite simple, essentially, came about out of the requirement of how was I going to be able to afford to shoot this. So when you build that little fence around yourself, which says, you're not going to have a lot of resources, by trapping myself, essentially a very simple equation came out, which was trap these people as well on a floor, and then take one piece of information and run it up the chain of command, essentially. And in doing that, you'd probably learn a lot, or try to, you know, about what the heck was going on and how these decisions were being made. So, you know, Zachary and Penn's character, you know, through what Stanley's character goes through, there's just one piece of information that you see essentially the whole power structure of this company, or a version of it, deal with it. So, but that came out of a restriction that I put on myself. This was meant to be shot for about $700,000. That's the goal I sort of set for myself. I thought I could raise that. You know, then this happened, so we got a little more money, but not much, and that's worth saying. You know, these guys came on, you know, on board not for the money. So it was to tell this story that they found compelling.
Okay, we have someone down on this end.
What inspired some of you to be a part of this film?
Sorry, could you repeat
What
that?
inspired some of the cast members to be a part of this film?
The question was, how did you inspire the cast members to be part of this
How
film?
did the individual cast members become inspired? Or how did each of you decide to become a part of this film? How did you decide to take the role of the characters that you played?
I'll speak for myself. I thought it was a pretty brilliant script when I read it, and for me, I liked the fact that in this character, I felt like there was an opportunity to show the complexity of the kind of decisions that people had to make and the kind of orders they had to follow if they wanted to keep their jobs. And because during this period, and even right up to today, there's a lot of people that we met in researching this film who are people who just work on the floor, and who weren't the big CEOs and didn't make the decisions, and yet they've been thrown into the barrel that all bankers and all people in this industry are greedy, horrible human beings. And I found it a challenge to play a kind of moral center. And I also like the fact that there wasn't a snarky, cynical line in the character. I look forward to exploring that. Zach?
You know, I was a part of this process from the very beginning as a producer, and there was something about JC, first of all, that drew me to the material, to his perspective, and his ability to articulate it. In terms of the character that I play in the film, I found it really fascinating that he's aware from the very beginning of this sort of ethical ambiguity of the waters that he's wading into. And yet by the end of the film, he's accepting this promotion and recognizing that there is value and benefit for himself in staying with the firm and seeing it through. So that was also from an acting perspective, that's something that was very interesting for me.
I agree. No, it was a great script. It was a really great script. JC, first-time director, talked a great fight. Sometimes that goes wrong, and this time it didn't. And you know, when I got involved, there was Zach, and there was Kevin, and there was Stanley, and that sounded like good people to be involved with. And that was it. Thank you very much. Thank you. I love your work.
I read about the crash in the paper and didn't have any money in the market and what have you, and had no idea sort of how it all worked. But sort of walked away scratching my head thinking, how did they get to that point? And then the script landed and I thought, oh, okay, I'm not very bright, that's why I'm an actor. But I read JC's script and I thought I was a genius after that. I understood it, and I was interested in the human drama of what goes on in a situation like that when the stuff does hit the fan, that they're actually people and there's decisions to be made. And he left enough room in the script for us to be able to act those moments beautifully, and I thank you for that.
I got to be the girl. I had an unusual situation because a lovely actress who was set to play this part actually fell out, and I was given a day to read the script and make a decision because it required getting on a plane the next day to shoot the following day. But it really didn't take much because, as everyone's already said, it was a beautiful script, and having just watched it really for the first time, wow, well done. I'm really proud to be in this company, so thank you.
It took a lot to get me onto this thing. No, to be perfectly honest, I didn't even have to read the script. I just saw the cast list and I was like, yeah. I read it, and honestly, it's what you see here. Although, it was so much more as well. I mean, I was JC, it's remarkable. I mean, you should be incredibly proud because I was so pleased with what I saw. I'm so proud. And I felt that reading it. It was something that I knew I could be proud of, and why not, if you can do that. What's your first name?
The thing that attracted all of us, obviously, was the script. And, there are lots of really bad scripts out there, and this wasn't one of them. It was beautifully written, and I don't think that any of us can really understand the complexity of what goes on in this film. Even the people who created this product can't necessarily understand the complexity of what it is. But you wrote such a beautiful script that was, as I've said in many interviews, emotionally taut, and that's something, and understated. And that's something that you don't find. There's no melodrama in it. There's really no drama in it, which means that these are the only people who are going to see it. But this has been a great one. But to me, having been here for so many years, it's really a great. This kind of film is what Sundance is very much all about. And I have to say, being on the set with you, having worked with many first-time directors, we all have, you commanded the set, and yet you did so in a way that without arrogance and with real kindness and generosity and intelligence. And you are to be commended for that. And Jeremy, you need to say something. Did you say something? Yeah?
No.
I thought it was very good. But 4 things I want to talk to you about. They rang me and said, am I free next week? They'll send a script. I read the script and thought it was extraordinarily intelligent. And they told me the cast lists, and I thought they were in the main extraordinarily intelligent and had very good hair in the main. So I thought, yeah, I'd love to do it. I came and did it, and it's very strange when you just come in for 3 days very quick and then leave, and then you watch the movie as I watched it tonight, and I thought it's a really, really clever, well-made movie, and bless you, sir.